Two enormously entertaining Ginetta races have already taken place here this afternoon at Donington Park, and a third is just around the corner. It's our final race of the day. It is the Protyre Motorsport Ginetta GT Championship's penultimate race of the season, and a race in which, again, we could crown a champion. There are three classes of driver in this championship: Pro, Pro-Am and Am. All of them have separate championship battles. Only one of them, though, can be settled in this particular race. And in a way, it's the big one, the Pro Championship, the outright championship battle, which has been raging on all season long between Archie Clark and Robert Cronin. And there is a good chance that Archie Clark could seal the deal if he can beat Cronin in this first race of the weekend. The grid, though, sees Jack Collins and Harry Gamble, two drivers who, for much of the middle part of the season, had been up there contending perhaps for the outright championship battle. They are starting on that front row of the grid, with Clark and Cronin, the two title protagonists, together on row 2. I have to give a real shout out to the hardy spectators that have stuck it out to the end of the day. They've been faced with everything today. We've had this incredible wind that's blowing across the circuit all day long. We had some pretty torrential rain through the middle part of the day, and despite that prevailing wind, an awful lot of them sticking around to the end of the day to enjoy what could be a title decider, I should say, in the Protyre Motorsport Ginetta GT Championship. We'll get into the title permutations in a moment or two. Pro-Am and Am, that is guaranteed to go on till tomorrow, but of course the result of this race will have a significant bearing on exactly who ends up coming out on top in tomorrow's 40-minute feature race, remember, which features a mandatory pit stop. It's just 20 minutes, a sprint race today, though, to set the stage for that finale. Jack Collins on pole and Harry Gamble, the Pro-Am points leader, starting alongside him. Then come our two Pro title contenders, Archie Clark and Robert Cronin, together on row number 2. Nick White and Luke Shaw together on the third row of the grid. Row 4 then for Felix Livesey and Mike Taylor, Pro-Am driver, and it's Hadley Simpson for Zentek Motorsport and Cameron Pratt-Thompson who complete the top 10 on the grid. 6th row for the ever-improving Ali Jafali, one of the front-runners and contenders in that Am Championship battle. Alex Duncan alongside him on row 6. Row 7 for Emma Tomlinson and Colin White, with Mark Ellman and James Rowling together on the 8th row. Oliver Fordham will complete the 17-car grid. So, we'll start, when it comes to championship permutations, with the Pro class, and that is fairly straightforward, really. Archie Clark can provisionally win the title in this race if he outscores Robert Cronin by just 2 points. That's all he needs to do. Now, as long as you're finishing anywhere in the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, as long as you're in the top 9, then it is at least a 2-point increment back to the next position. So if you finish first, it's 5 points difference between winning and finishing second. If you finish second, you will score 4 more points than the driver that finishes in third, and then it goes down in 2-point increments until you get to 9th position. So as long as those two are in the top 9, then it is winner takes all, basically, or in a way, if Archie Clark beats Cronin, then he wins the championship. If Cronin beats Clark, then it goes to the decider tomorrow. In Pro-Am, Harry Gamble has a 21-point advantage over Nick White, so that's not that comfortable really in the grand scheme of things, and Ali Jafali is just a single point ahead of Luke Shaw in the battle for Am honours. That is going to be a real nail-biter. Here we go then, the penultimate race of the season for the Protyre Motorsport Ginetta GT Championship. As the sun starts to set on day 1 of this Donington decider, it gets underway now, and off towards Redgate Corner they will rush. We're on board here with Archie Clark, the championship leader, on the inside of row number 2. To our outside is Robert Cronin. There you can see the nose of the Elite Motorsport car appearing. Harry Gamble is sideways on the curb, and Cronin had contact. Cronin had big contact, and has that damaged his car? That was a huge whack from somebody. Is the car okay? It's turning, and that's sideways. That's Clark sideways on the grass as well. And there's big contact further back. Around goes Nick White. Nick White is off the road. So is Ali Jafali. No, I don't believe it. Ali Jafali, the championship leader in the Am class, is off the road, and so too is Pro-Am contender Nick White. What a dramatic run through the first few corners. Cronin's car seems okay miraculously, but Archie Clark was dangerously close to losing control as well. While Jafali gets going again, that is crucial in the Am Championship, but Nick White's car is being recovered by the marshals, and I fear that that is his day done. Now, as I said, no matter what, that that championship in Pro-Am cannot be decided today, but that is a massive dent in Nick White's championship hopes with just one more race to go. Well, again, this Donington decider weekend just keeps on serving up the drama, and we're not even at the end of lap number 1. It is Jack Collins that leads. It's Harry Gamble in second place, the Pro-Am leader, and remember the championship leader in that category too. And then Archie Clark, crucially, still ahead of Robert Cronin, despite all of the antics on that opening lap. I'm intrigued to try and piece all of that together. I want to know who made contact with Cronin, because it was a fair whack that he had on the right front corner. You can see the damage to the front right corner of that number 26 car. Amazingly, it doesn't appear to have impeded his progress, though. The car running okay as they head into Redgate Corner for the second time. And, well, Jack Collins looks now to try and pull away and claim a third race victory of the season. He's had 3 podium finishes so far this year, and 2 of them a race win. He's really been coming on strong in the second half of the season. There is Cronin's car. You can see that scuff on the right front corner. So as it stands, he would be too far back from Archie Clark to take the championship to the decider. He needs to beat Archie in this one if he's going to have any hope of still stealing the championship away in tomorrow's race. This is all taking into account drop scores and bonus points, all of those things, because you can drop your lowest scores, your 2 lowest scores over the course of the season in the Ginetta GT Championship. There's a good battle going on, meanwhile, between Cameron Pratt-Thompson and Hadley Simpson. That's actually for 8th place overall, as the leaders arrive down at the Fogarty. Yes, his big slide there from the back of the race leader's car. You can see the grass in the grille there, the radiator grille of Archie Clark's car. And that big moment that he had down the crane of curves, I thought that was going to be the biggest moment of lap 1, and then it all kicked off behind. There's a good move up the inside, meanwhile, for Alex Duncan against Luke Shaw, who nearly gets levered aside by Cameron Pratt-Thompson. So Luke Shaw then in at a good position now all of a sudden. He leads the AM class. He came into this weekend just a single point behind Ali Jafali, who of course has been off the road and is in the pit lane. So Jafali's in the pit lane and potentially then on course for a non-finish. We'll see if he can get back out there. He'll still score a handful of points, but this will likely go down as a dropped score anyway for Jafali. He would score back 8 points that he was dropping from, in fact, his 2 lowest scores are both 8-pointers. So he isn't going to come out of this race with absolutely no points, but certainly not as many as he would have liked. Archie Clark, meanwhile, gets the fastest lap. You get a bonus point for setting the fastest lap. So that also benefits him, of course, in his quest for the championship. And looks to me as though he's a bit faster at the moment than the cars around him, possibly. Jafali, by the way, has just left the pit lane. Ali Jafali is now in the race, but obviously some way back. In fact, he's dropped a lap, hasn't he? Yes, Ali Jafali a full lap down now. But 7th in class. The trouble is, though, in this category, you don't score points within your class. It's not the same as the Ginetta Academy, GT Academy, which we saw out earlier on, where there are 2 very separate classes scoring very separate points. This is all in one, if you like. So wherever you finish in the race, that is how many points you take home, regardless of which drivers in other classes might be ahead or behind you. So Harry Gamble, for example, 2nd position, leading Pro-Am. You might think he doesn't really need to go for a move against Jack Collins, but he does, because that would be worth an extra 5 championship points. He runs over the curb on the way into Goddard. He's definitely closed in on the E3 Sport car ahead, hasn't he? So Harry Gamble looking strong in this phase of the race. Harry, again, running for Elite Motorsport. Archie Clark behind, running with MDD Racing, who are keen to put behind them the disappointment from that Ginetta Junior race earlier on, where they lost a nailed-on race victory with just a corner to go with George Proudfoot-Nalder. And they would very much like now to bounce back from that by crowning one of their drivers a champion in the Protyre Motorsport Ginetta GT Championship. Down through the old hairpin we go then. Just over a quarter of the race expired already. There is Cronin's car. Is he maybe starting to feel the effects of that whack that he had on the opening lap? And if so, how much is that going to affect him moving forward? Was it Archie Clark he had contact with? I just couldn't quite see in the melee as they went through the first couple of corners. It was on the exit of the turn, I think, wasn't it, that someone got sideways and Cronin ended up getting sort of spat out of line. And he doesn't now seem to have the speed you would expect, would he, from a driver who has won twice this year, had 6 podium finishes in total, has Cronin. And he's just dropping away now slightly from the leading three, who themselves are converging, are they? No, well, actually, Cronin set the fastest lap last time around, so I'm talking absolute rubbish. He was fractionally quicker than the cars ahead, but just seems a bit more distant on this lap, so I don't know whether he's made a mistake. Yeah, his 2 sectors on this lap have not been personal bests, whereas everyone else has, so he has lost a bit of ground on this 4th lap of the race, but then closes back in again through the final part of the lap. There is Mike Taylor, by the way. Mike Taylor, 2nd of the Pro-Ams, and in 3rd in that class is the 27 of Alex Duncan. He's moved up from 12th place on the grid to 6th position overall at the moment. Luke Shaw leads in AM from Emma Tomlinson and Mark Ellman. They're the top 3 in the AM category. And Ali Jafali, as I said, running all the way down in 17th place. This will almost certainly go down as a dropped score for the AM Championship leader. Up through Starkey's and Schwantz curve we go. There is Cronin. Now the fastest lap now belongs to Jack Collins, so that bonus point, which was initially going to Archie Clark, then it went the way of Cronin, is now going to neither of the championship contenders. So in a way that makes things a little bit more straightforward. We don't need to worry about the bonus point for the time being. Can Robert Cronin dig deep here and find a bit of pace to go after Archie Clark ahead of him? Well, he's dropped noticeably back in the middle sector, but that middle sector has been catching people out all day long, no matter what category it is. That middle sector has been really tricky because of the wind. It's the highest point of the circuit at McLean's and Coppice, and I think that wind's just catching a few people out. There was a bit of contact, wasn't there, with the tyre stack there for Cameron Pratt-Thompson, and he's slowing. Yes, he's damaged the car. So Cameron Pratt-Thompson, I thought he'd caught the tyre stack, and I wonder if he's broken the steering. So Cameron Pratt-Thompson pulled immediately over to the right-hand side of the road. Yes, that steering's broken, isn't it? So the wing mirror falls off. It's on the right-hand element of the chicane. It was slightly obscured by the 27 car of Alex Duncan, but look, he's running wide. He's on a trajectory towards that wall, and bang, there it was. Oh, yes, big contact, actually, and you can see immediately that breaks the steering on the right front corner. He would have felt that pretty much straight away, too. So that was a significant hit, which has done a significant amount of damage to the car and taken him out of the race, unfortunately. With every car that retires, though, that means there's a possibility that the likes of Ali Jafali might start to pick up a few more points. So that's not bad news if you are Ali Jafali in 17th place at the moment. You'd have to pick up quite a few, though, for this not to become a drop score, so it might matter little in the grand scheme of things. Cameron Pratt-Thompson, by the way, I think has recovered back to the pit lane, so no need for a safety car whilst they remove that car. There are bits of Ginetta on the road at the chicane, but they can pick their way through that, no problem, hopefully. And the race can continue unimpeded. So leading 4 in the same shot as they head down the exhibition straight. Good battle going on further back, meanwhile, between James Rowling, number 75, and Oliver Fordham's very pretty number 4 car. And very wide goes James Rowling at McLean's corner. Again, just struggling, I think, to get the car stopped in the blustery wind that we've got up there. 31 is Felix Livesey, battling away here with Colin White, and there is Cameron Pratt-Thompson. And he, unfortunately, has given the SVG Motorsport team a little bit of work to do. He looks absolutely furious with himself because he was having a good battle there with Alex Duncan up until that point. Take the tyre off, but that's the least of their worries yet. Shaking their head, there's nothing they can do to fix it. There is significant damage done to the steering arm, I suspect, which has taken him out of the race. So, leaders peel their way through Redgate Corner. And now things just starting to settle down. I think Archie Clark's realised that he's got the better at the moment of the one driver that really matters in a way in this race, Robert Cronin, and doesn't particularly want to get involved in a skirmish with Harry Gamble or Jack Collins. That's not a fight that Archie Clark needs to pick at the moment. He is, I believe, provisionally in a position in which he would claim the championship, so he doesn't need to gain any more places, and by battling with these two, he just risks losing time and inviting Robert Cronin back into the battle. So I think we'll probably see Archie Clark play a fairly cautious game now over the second half of this race. Gamble, though, I think wants the win because he wants all the points he can get in the Pro-Am battle. Now, Nick White obviously was involved in that spin at the old hairpin. He has continued. He's a long way back, but he's in 15th place overall. So Nick White is still running. White's drop scores, well, he had a non-finish earlier on in the year, did Nick White. That came, in fact, last time out at Brands Hatch, didn't it? He didn't finish the second race. And so that's one of his drop scores used up. He would score back 12 points from this race, Nick White. But at the moment, Harry Gamble is on course for 30 and maybe 35 if he can win. Is that rain falling? Yes, it is. It's raining, isn't it not, up at the Goddard's hairpin. Now, remember, these cars all run on slick tyres. They do have a wet option, but I don't think any of them will have started on it because the track was bone dry at the start of the race. But that looked to me like some rain falling in Sector 3. It looks okay up here at Redgate Corner. So that may mean that it's just largely skirted round the circuit and is now sort of disappearing up towards the top end of the circuit. But that could be another variable thrown into the mix now. Archie Clark noticeably closing in here on Harry Gamble, who I think is being a bit more cautious in these conditions, maybe than Jack Collins and Archie Clark either side of him. Can't see any rain at McLean's corner. I thought I saw a couple of spots maybe at the old hairpin. But this part of the circuit, the track conditions remain unchanged. They'll have generated quite a lot of heat in the tyres by this point, so the immediate lack of grip I don't think is going to happen unless it really starts raining. For now, track conditions seem okay to me. There is a very lonely Mike Taylor in 5th position overall, 2nd in Pro-Am, then Alex Duncan, and then this battle between Luke Shaw and Hadley Simpson. Hadley Simpson's a lot further down the order than we're used to seeing him at this point. And would love to gain a few more positions. Luke Shaw, though, needs all of the points that he can get. Yes, he was a point behind Jafali coming into this one, but any extra points he can score will do extra damage to the championship leader, or erstwhile championship leader's point situation. So Luke will want to try and keep Hadley Simpson at bay, and in fact they're both catching Alex Duncan ahead, so he'd like to gain a place if at all possible. Leading 3, by the way, have just gone through closer than ever, less than a second now between them, and the fastest lap is set by Mike Taylor, so makes absolutely no sense. It's definitely raining in that final sector, and yet we've just had a new fastest lap set by a Pro-Am driver in 5th position, so the leader's definitely not going as quickly as they could do here. Spots of rain maybe down at the old hairpin, but you can see the track remains dry. Cronin's car sliding around there through the old hairpin, and there is Mike Taylor, the fastest driver on the track. He would now get the bonus point. Mike is not in championship contention within any of the classes, but nice little feather in his cap if he can keep hold of that till the flag. Towards Hoppus he goes, turns through the blind right-hander, opens out nicely through that second apex onto the exhibition straight, and then they hit the brakes at the end of it into the Fogarty S's. So Collins then continues to lead, Gamble second, and Archie Clark doing everything he needs to do in 3rd position. Again, I think he's just keeping a watching brief, content pretty much with where he runs at the moment, and not that interested in getting involved in a battle for 2nd place. Just close in there through the Melbourne hairpin. Not able to make anything happen. Really raining now, look, quite heavily, isn't it, into the final corner at Goddard's. It seems really isolated to this final turn almost, and I'm not even convinced it's actually at the final turn. It might be just sort of in the runoff area. Everywhere else seems largely dry, but the final corner, it's raining quite heavily. Actually, some spots now down at Redgate. Look at that on Archie Clark's windscreen. They are all, I remind you, on slick tyres. If we do get a downpour, and I mean a serious downpour, then we could suddenly have cars firing themselves at the scenery. And it may be just starting to get a little bit more greasy now. There's a big black cloud directly above us up here at the Redgate corner end of the circuit. That is the direction from which the weather has been coming all day. So if it's starting to rain now, I suggest it's only going to get heavier over the remaining 5 minutes. Very heavy now at McLean's as well. And, oh, yep, slide for Gamble, look. So Gamble starting to feel the slippery surface underneath him. And this is now going to be a very nervy final quarter of the race, particularly for that man there, Archie Clark, who just needs to finish exactly where he is. And he will be the champion, we believe, at the end of this race. Archie Clark can provisionally win the title if he outscores Robert Cronin by 2 points. Oh, was that Gamble into the tyres? I think Gamble's hit the tyres. Yes, he has. Harry Gamble's off and he's spinning into the track. Harry Gamble with damage surely to the right front corner. Is that broken steering as well? He's right in the middle of the road. This is not a good place for that car to be stationary, especially with the worsening conditions. And this is Harry Gamble. Would you believe this? And look, other cars scattering now, including Luke Shaw. Thankfully, Gamble gets going, but that's both of the Pro-Am title contenders now, potentially on course to use this as a dropped score. Is that car damaged beyond the point of continuing? Well, he's managing better than Cameron Pratt-Thompson did when he caught the tyres. It's exactly the same thing, look. He just turns into the right-hand element a tiny bit too early, and bang, there it is. Oh, and it actually knocked his left arm off the steering wheel. Such was the ferocity of the impact, so that's put a lot of force through that steering arm. Here it is from the reverse angle, turns in, bang. Surely he's not got away without breaking the steering on that car. Big spin there as he comes back onto the road and manages to recover. Now, here we are on board. We're not going to see his left hand, but as he hits the tyre wall, it ripped, I think, both hands off the wheel. I actually think that's why he goes off. I'm not... there may well be steering damage as well. Yes, there is, look, because he's off again. Harry Gamble's off again now, down the Cronin curves, and this surely now is a situation where he has to pull the car into the pit lane to retire. Otherwise, he could do more damage. He is going to bounce along the grass on the inside of the old hairpin, and Harry Gamble, it must well be that he's damaged the steering on that car, and that now could be day done. Can he limp home? There could be other cars that start flying off the road, of course, with the weather starting to roll in. He drops now behind Nick White. There is grass filling the grille of the car. He's got bits of bodywork flying off the right front corner. And still, he continues on, and not all that slowly, really. He's still pushing on reasonably hard. Right, what's going on at the front? Jack Collins still leads. Archie Clark second. Robert Cronin, of course, is into third. The point I was about to start making before that all kicked off is that at the moment, well, it's all changed now, I suppose, but Archie Clark is scoring 4 points more than Robert Cronin, and he just needed to score 2 points more. So with, what, 2 laps of the race now to go, Clark is still in, we believe, a championship-winning position. In fact, there's a very good chance that Cronin might now lose a position to Mike Taylor as well, who continues to fly. Mike Taylor was quicker than everyone other than the leading 2 on that most recent lap as well. So Taylor starting now to ask some questions of Cronin. That would be for 3rd place overall. And of course, Mike Taylor now leads the Pro-Am class with the issues for Harry Gamble. Harry, by the way, well, in fact, he hasn't made it back to the line yet. So has he elected to pit? I don't think he has. No, Harry Gamble, I can see on the tracker going across the start-finish line now. So Gamble is insistent upon continuing and just trying to score whatever points he can. He is in 12th position at the moment. Has a 7 and a 14-point drop score to fall back on, does Gamble. But of course, Nick White is only now a couple of positions behind him, so regardless of drop scores, he's going to lose ground to Nick White. Here is Mike Taylor, and he now sees a chance to get into the outright podium places, potentially. Luke Shaw, of course, has benefited from all of this as well. So Luke Shaw, the AM leader, is now in 6th position, and still starting to ask questions of Alex Duncan. If he can get into 5th place, that's a real nice haul of points. He would score 20 points. Oh, and Gamble's off again. Gamble's off again. Now, has he pulled off or gone off? I think he has pulled off, hasn't he? Yes, down the Cronin curves. There's now a lot of steam coming from the front of the car, and that'll be all of the grass that he picked up with his second off-track moment at this very part of the circuit. And he dejectedly gets out of the car, doesn't even slam the door. He just trudges away, knowing not that he's lost the championship, because he certainly hasn't. The Pro-Am Championship battle is going to go into tomorrow, still with Harry Gamble, I believe, holding a pretty comfortable lead. But he knows that if he'd have just finished second in this race, he would have had an almost insurmountable advantage going into the final race of the season tomorrow. As it is, he leaves himself right on the precipice. He can't afford another non-finish tomorrow now, because Nick White may well be able to steal it from his grasp. Well, it's been a dramatic 20 minutes of racing, which are drawing towards its conclusion now. Jack Collins, though, has largely avoided all of the drama, really. He is well on his way now to a 3rd victory of the season. And Archie Clark in 2nd position, we believe, would be doing enough at the moment to win the championship. Emma Tomlinson has been given a 5-second track limit time penalty, and that will drop her behind Mark Ellman, but no further. So a top 10 finish should still beckon for Emma Tomlinson. But these really are the two storylines, I suppose. At the front of the field, Jack Collins getting another win, and Archie Clark now just one corner away from the moment he's been working towards all season long. In towards the final turn at Goddard's they go, and Jack Collins in car number 12 turns through the final corner. An absolutely inch-perfect drive this from Jack Collins, a race victory from pole position, and his third win of the year comes here at Donington Park. Archie Clark is second though, and from the information I'm being given, I think that should be enough for him to wrap the title up with a race to spare. And in the end, it all kind of boiled down to those first few moments. I'm absolutely convinced that Robert Cronin sustained some damage on that opening lap. We might get another look at that later. Luke Shaw, meanwhile, almost pushing Alex Duncan across the line, but has to settle for 6th. That is still 18 points for Luke Shaw, though, and that's 18 points more than Ali Jafali managed to score in that race. Now, Ali, I reckon, will score back 8 points that he was originally dropping. So that's, a 10-point swing for Luke Shaw. So I reckon he'll be 9 points ahead of Jafali going into the final race, but we'll await further confirmation. Archie Clark, though, he's going to be absolutely delighted. So too is Jack Collins. Jack Collins with the race victory. And Elite Motorsport, by the way, will pick up the Teams Championship provisionally. And so Elite Motorsport, despite the fact they didn't actually end up with a car on the podium in the end, because Mike Taylor did get ahead of Robert Cronin on the final lap of the race. But it is MDD, look, who celebrated championship. Well, the highs and lows of motorsport. This is the team that were absolutely shell-shocked at losing that Ginetta Junior race only, half an hour or so ago on the final corner. And now, here they are celebrating a championship. Archie Clark will bring the championship home to MDD. Scott and Ben McKenna, the family-run McKenna team, who are entered into the championship this year. They do not have the long and storied history of success of the Elite Motorsports of the world, for example, but they do now have a Protyre Motorsport Ginetta GT Championship to add to their credentials, and I'm massively, massively pleased for them. You can see the emotion on the team's face, and this often gets lost, I think, in motorsport. We talk so much about the emotions of the drivers, but particularly for a team like MDD, which is a small family-run team, for them to get a championship at this sort of level clearly means the absolute world to the McKennas, and I'm absolutely delighted for them. So, Jack Collins gets the win for E3 Sport, Archie Clark gets second place and provisionally wraps up the championship with Mike Taylor in third, getting ahead of Robert Cronin there, who really was struggling with the car in the closing stages. He is fourth with Alex Duncan fifth, and Luke Shaw in sixth position. Class winners, by the way. Collins wins Pro, Taylor wins Pro-Am, and Luke Shaw wins in Am class. Then it's Hadley Simpson and Felix Livesey, with Mark Ellman and Emma Tomlinson complete the top 10. Then it was Colin White and Nick White, 12th position after his lap 1 spin, James Rowling, Oliver Fordham and Ali Jafali at the back. He wanted drama. The Protyre Motorsport Ginetta GT Championship served that up in bucket loads in their penultimate race of the season, which started in dramatic fashion. Jack Collins and Harry Gamble were side by side for the lead at turn 1, but behind there was drama for Robert Cronin, who had contact, I believe, with his title rival Archie Clark, and I strongly suspect that that wounded the Elite Motorsport car. He was never really a factor for the win after that. Then Clark was on the grass heading down the hill, but the real trouble was behind, as there was contact for Nick White and Ali Jafali. Jafali, the Am Class Championship leader, and Nick White second in the Pro-Am Championship, both title contenders, both off the road on lap 1. Then Cameron Pratt-Thompson became the latest victim of the tyre stack at the chicane. Broken steering took him out of contention. Harry Gamble would then follow suit as rain started to fall. He misjudged the chicane and also did damage to his car, the Pro-Am leader. Sustained damage, went off again a couple of times after that, and eventually had to pull over to the side of the road to retire. That championship will rumble on till tomorrow, so too will the Am class. Jack Collins got the race win though, and Archie Clark is the Pro champ.